Okay, so I believe this is actually going live if I'm correct. All right, so let's get started here. So if you want to know who I am and how this actually works, there's an intro video. Please watch that. I'm just going to jump right into it just because, number one, I'm recovering a cold. So interestingly enough, we're doing the second house. And if you like how I sound, this is what the second house is all about. So it's all about really, we talked about the first house, it's about who I am, how you project in this world, and any sort of projection that happens in this world. It's all about the first house. So the second house is really about the value of self. So this is you really, I feel like this is more of like your character, your identity. Sorry, I have to clear my throat there for a second because, like I was saying to you, I'm just recovering from a cold here. So I'm going to be going off my notes just because my brain is kind of still recovering. So let's get and start regarding about the second house. So the first house is about the physical body. So it wants to feed about itself, and the action of the physical body results in the second house. So when we're talking about the second house, we're talking about here is the value of self. This is how you make your money, your speech, your physical enjoyment through your sense. Your close friends are related to all your second house. Those are the big factor in here. You know, the organs that are that really relate to the second house is our mouth. Interestingly enough, I'm wearing a new lipstick, so you can't really see my mouth really today. So what's really all about is your self-esteem. So if anything in this area where we kind of create family values in childhood, this is where it's happening right here. You know, I want to say self-worthy is also in this area as well. When we talk about like the mouth, what do we do with our mouth? We speak, we talk, and we feed stuff in our mouth. You know, what's really interesting about, you know, in my practice reading charts and stuff like that, I've noticed like if anybody has some sort of addiction or really like what do you call bad habits, it has to do with the second house all the time, like drinking drugs, alcohol, smoking, like junk food. You know, and really interesting enough, I had a client who actually has really, you know, the second house is with a really not a strong planet there. And they actually had bad teeth, which is interestingly enough. So if I noticed that in the second house, that really shows up there as well. So also it relates to our mouth. I think we talked about that. The second house is as well. We talked about our close family. So personal friends is one of them. Second house is closeness to us. So affirming of values, reflection of who we are, involving something outgrown of the value of the past. You know, blood family members may fall into this this way as well. You know, family growth, that's where it comes from as well. You know, activity that pleasure us is another big factor. So eating, talking, socializing, friends in second house. Interestingly enough as well, I noticed that with my clients that the second house, I noticed that if people really speak badly, gossip and lying and things like that, affects the second house, which is interestingly enough, when I was doing this research through doing consultation with my clients. And so that's where I see it as well. You know, environmental factor, our family is a big place where we feel like we need to open up, feel safe. Spiritual center is another one. You know, we make it in our own kind of thing factor. Really, the second house is all obviously is objects. So when I say objects, it means material things. So that means like wealth, how you bring in wealth. So a lot of what you call, interestingly enough, when I'm watching like online YouTube, you know, those called beauty gurus, and they do like, you know, closet show off or closet fashion of the fall or whatever that might be. This is what it is. So if you have a great collection or likes to show off a material thing collection, it could be not always cars, but like material things. We'll talk about cars and house a little bit later. I feel like that's more on the other house. I will talk that. So clothing is a big factor. Possession, so like necklace, you have rings, you know, and that's how it should is all connected in the second house. So if you have a collection like coin collection, you're in this category. So if you're a big collector, this is where it's all coming from as well. So I don't know if you guys are comfortable where we're going to be talking about planetary. That might be an opportunity to do that, because I think that's where we really see certain things. So, you know, when we look at the second house, a lot of astrologer, including myself, we see the second house where we bring income, right? So where your wages. So we can also look at where how you make your money. So, and that's all the second house. So a lot of like what you call example, I'm just going to give an example, like YouTubers, does this beauty guru, they bring money through material things. So like clothing, showing off clothing or jewelry or things like that. That's all really shown in your second house. And I see that time over and over again. So if you are looking for, you want to know, or you're curious, where you make your money, if you see a planetary in this area, you would actually notice those things. So it's really interesting when we look at like material things. It really showcases how you dress, how you put yourself together. So it gives you an identity. So I find like material clothing does give you some sort of identity. If today I show up with black lipstick and really goth and really like hardcore tattoos and really in the bohemian kind of style, I think it will give you a different vibe of who really I'm self-worth, or maybe I'm considered to be more interestingly enough, a free spirit. But today I kind of just wore black and white, and that's just my natural color. Just keep it plain and simple. And that's just really who your identity. So you can tell by the personality, how they speak, how they sound. You know, when we talk about first impression, I feel like this is where it comes part of the identity, the values, the change, and what you carry yourself and how you carry yourself and the way that you speak that really resonate with other people as well. So manners of dressing is part of it as well. If I came here with, you know, my pajamas, I think you have a different impression of what I value myself. So I think that's a big factor here. But as we get older, our choices can change as well. So just make sure you're kind of aware of that, those material things, because planets do get mature and we go through a different cycle. So we're affected in those ways as well. That being said, I think, yeah, and then we're going to get into the planet stuff. I feel like that's about where I need to be kind of left off. So really question about, you know, if you wanted to get to know who you really are. So maybe some of the question is, what do you value, both tangible and intangible? And that's the first one. The second one, why do you value it? And who do we value in our life? And what do you really own? And what do you really want to be your own? And why? I think that's all about the second house, really. And if you can answer those questions, honestly, I think you have a better clarity without even having an astrologer being in front of you to make that sense. And it takes time. You need to sit there and be like, answer those questions. Could you answer that question? And if you're brave enough, I really want you to leave a comment down below and tell me exactly those questions that I asked you, because I think it's a very interesting when we have interactive learning, and, you know, I think it's a learning moment for both of us as well, as we get to know that, you know, interestingly enough, yes, you know, we talked about when we own stuff, there are certain debts that carry. So yeah, we own responsibility for the bills. I don't want to really put that there, but it does have to do with our finance. So saving, budgets, finance status is all ruled of the second house. So, you know, that's our wealth part as well. So maybe if you are financially savvy or money savvy, maybe leave a comment down below. I want to know if that is true. Like if you have planets in this area, are you, and what kind of planets? And we might go into that later on in different videos, but not right now. If you are a money savvy individual that can handle money financially. And that's about it, I think. Yeah, I think I feel very comfortable. If anything in the second house already represent like the Taurus. If, you know, the first house is about Aries, this is a Taurus, and Venus represent luxury and comfort and pleasure and fun and enjoyment. It really is that area. So I feel like I'm speaking on my behalf here, but I think that's a big factor. So that's where it's going to end, and I will try to see you next week. I might be traveling a little bit. We'll see how this video is going to work. I'm going to come back here every Saturday to see if I can actually make a video, and I pretty much can make a video anywhere so long I have internet. So I might be in a different scene. So you might not be in my office here next week. So I'm looking forward to doing the third house, and the third house is all about so much fun. I can't give it away yet. So I'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye.